Alright, gonna try something a little new today. Oh, I don't have the captions running. Oh, I hope that's gonna behave. Gonna try something a little new today, and as you may see from the title, I'm gonna be trying to make a OBS widget that I can control, that can help manage the chat or the stream by putting like chat messages up there or something, and I don't know, buttons, timers, and writing them in GUID itself. Because it turns out we can write all that in the browser. Why is my... Oh, there it is. Let's see here. All right, captions working now? Question mark. Yeah, captions working. Cool. Okay. So, like I said, we're gonna try something new here. I'm gonna put OBS on the screen, which is gonna get a little weird looking for a minute, and show sort of how this is gonna get set up. And chances are excellent this is gonna be a terrible stream, so you are forgiven for ignoring it. Let's see here. If I switch to 6, we've got this terrible OBS screen showing me showing OBS. Let's switch back to regular mode here. And then I've got this browser window here. All right, so now at least that's a little easier to look at. I should be able to specify a local HTML file and say, hey, I want you to go ahead and run it here. Run it in a browser that runs in OBS. And then anything I can do from the browser to render on the screen, I should be able to do from OBS. And hopefully we can run it live, and hopefully there's a button for, hey, please refresh the page because I just changed something. But I don't really know too much. The only thing we've got so far is, hey, load up some page, and then put a background color on it. That way it's transparent, so that whatever else is on the screen, like, you know, my face, will still render properly. So just for giggles, if we did something like, and load that up. Hey, there we go. So we got our own website. I could resize this up to, you know, fill up most of the page. It is not really doing the transparent thing very well, and that is probably just because nothing is really using the background color. So let's try something else. I can't really think of what a good page would be. I don't even know if I give it... Okay, this works really well, using example.com. So there's just the one chunk of content on the page, which shows, hey, here is a just a little banner, and then everything else is transparent. So if I put this, you know, near my face, I can still peek through it, and it still works properly. Okay, so that's the basic idea. We're going to make an HTML file. We're going to test it in a regular browser first, and then we're going to put it here, and we're going to put opaque elements in the page itself. Let's see if we can get this resizing a little nicer. See if we can fill the whole page instead of this 640 by 480, whatever we call that aspect ratio. Yeah, here we go. We need to tell that to be what? What's the aspect ratio supposed to be? Where do I find that? (1920 by 1080). So I bet that'll work if we just say and then we've got FPS, shutdown source when not visible. That would let it refresh. That could be handy. Refresh the browser when the scene becomes active. Okay, so that would be a quick way to refresh. We just change scene and then change back again. And then we can give the page permissions too. We can say you can read all kinds of other stuff, and we can even give it write access to say I want you to change something about how the stream is working. So we're going to go with just read access for now. Let's see. So that's a better ratio, but it's kind of big. So let's size that down. Should be nice and square once I get the sizing right. There we go. Not square, but, you know, fill the whole space. And there we go. Okay, so that fills the whole space. we've just got a little pop-up here. I'm going to turn this off for the moment, and we'll go back to our IDE. Let's make a new project. Do we want a proper server? I mean, are we going to want to write server code for this? Or are we going to be sufficient just to say, hey, it's static HTML? We could probably serve it off of our own web page. We would want to make sure to keep keys out of there and stuff like that. So we'll think about that. Let's start with, let's see here. I think the Domino Do sample was just discussed the other day. It's got a couple little issues with it, but the main issue is that it's not going to work in Java, Java 17 out of the box. But as long as we can update this to a recent RC, that should be a good starting point just to say, hey, I can't remember how to make a project. We can just use this as guidelines, update to recent GWT, and go from there. It is using pretty nearly the latest plugin, and maybe we can make a simple pull request to update it. And then just start tearing out bits until it works. So let's start with that. Let's see here. I'm going to go grab the URL to get stuff from. And let's get a terminal window going here. What should we call this? Streaming while streaming? No, I mean that's, you get the idea. We're trying to say we are changing things as we go. We're changing the running thing. We're modifying the engine of the plane while we're flying. Git clone domino do into current directory, and then let's go ahead and import that project. And then we'll size this down so it actually fits in the UI. And then start updating things a little bit. Looks like it's still figuring out what to do with all this Maven stuff. We'll give it a minute there. Might be if there's a pop-up somewhere I'm supposed to be addressing. Oh, here we go. That was a little weird. It wants me to look at the git ignore file for something. Okay. So this is really not how you start a project, but I really do want to make sure that I don't have messing around to do getting the project itself going. We're going to go ahead and bump this to a different version. Let's see. We got 0.1.101 here, I think. I don't think we're even going to bother with this, with Jetty. We need to go to, yeah, the latest one. Oh, that should be fine. Let's see what else we got here. 2.10. And the latest RC. What's the latest RC going to be? Let's put that back over there. I'll use this browser, the same one I had before. Let's look for Domino UI 18, 1.0 RC 18. And odds are excellent. Something's going to break along the way. We're going to change this to span, I don't know, sample stream. I don't think we're going to need a shared. I don't think we're going to even need a server. But we'll keep them around for right now. Can always fix that later. All right, we got to fix these group IDs in a few other places. The client wants to depend on the shared. I'm going to just sort of ignore the server for right now. I don't think we're even going to need editors in the near term. We'll rename this too. But let's get something running. See if we can actually make it do something. Yeah, let's fix this too. We're going to worry about Tomcat too much. Yeah, we'll just start there. Let's see what fires up if we get this going. Oops, gotta spell properly. I don't use Domino UI a lot, so I'm gonna look a little dumb as I work on that. I also don't use the Twitch API a lot, and I don't use OBS APIs a lot. So pretty much all of this is gonna be a headache, and we'll just figure it out as we go. So there's something in here. The API must have changed. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a bite. I think if I find a problem, I'm just gonna throw the code away rather than try and fix it. So for example, we'll just comment that line out because it's simple to do so. And it's not going to be right anymore. I bet there's a simple add last name, something like that we could be using instead. But really, I'm not too interested in it doing any more than showing up. CSS. Is that it? CSS class. Cool. Okay, so actually that's it. We can fix this. And see how this build comes out. We are definitely going to need to rewrite this whole main here, though, to say, hey, don't be building all this stuff here. We really just want some kind of a, play with what happens if we get pop-up after pop-up after pop-up. I know there's this idea in Domino of making little pop-ups. Let's see here. We only had one permutation. Awesome. Built fairly quickly. I can't find it. Here we go. 41 seconds. A fraction of a second for linking. That's always good. So if we were to try to load this directly, so let's see, the server should have a HTML file. We really want to skip the server and move that into a public directory. Let's see, the package for this is in samples. So I think the public goes here, org domino kit public. Let's check on what this says. What actually goes in samples, because samples is the module here. So we'll make a public directory. Why can't I see the word directory? Probably because it isn't there. And we'll copy these two files. Again, I'm not too concerned if other things don't really work. We just need to get kind of close to making sense. Okay, HTML5. The app, we don't need a separate directory. We're inside the app directory. So let's try just building the client. I guess we got to rename these things. We'll do it like this. Stream sample. Oh, Shouldn't that be the project? Shouldn't that specify the project? Well, I must have done something wrong. We're not going to worry too much about it. Oh, it's because the PL. It needs a dash in front of it. Mostly I'm just trying to get to something running in the first couple of minutes. Because, let's see, we're 15 minutes into this and nothing really has rendered yet. And I would like to get something showing up on the screen, just so we've got something we can work from. Keep this a little bit more engaging. Undoubtedly, I'm going to get bogged down in something awful in here, and get embarrassed about how bad I am with any kind of design or anything like that. So I just want to cut to the chase a little bit. So probably this is going to have way too much stuff getting rendered on it, and we're going to need to strip off almost all of this. If my domino folks are here, can you remind me how we do the pop-up thing? Just pull up the domino samples. We have a sample thing. Real world sample form. Hey, cool. It's on YouTube. Maybe we'll take a quick look at that. Let me make sure we got muted audio here so it doesn't accidentally play through automatically. This is going to show how to build some stuff 4 years ago. Cool. All right, alerts. I bet that's actually what I'm looking for right now. Let's fire up the demo itself so we can see what they look like. Looks like the build was successful. Let's go look for some alerts. Is there a search? There is. So we don't want them just popping up in the main screen. Ideally, we get a little toast notification. Does this not expand? Oh, I thought that would expand. I thought there was a little toast notification for this. Badges? No. I mean, I could see a lot of these pretty nearly working for what we want to do here to say, hey, let's get some metadata up on the screen. Let's decorate with what we're up to. Notifications, that's where we're at. There we go. This is what we want to have pop up. These things popping up whenever a chat happens. So when Justin's got something to say about how great Groovy is, or our Streamlabs thing, which I haven't seen today. I don't know what's up with that. Wants to say, hey, here's where you come chat with us. We can make that happen. Okay, so cool. We got some source code we can look at and figure out what we should be looking at. This will be our starting point for, hey, look at that. It's super easy. We just got to wire it up to some event pump coming from Twitch or whatever other source we come up with. Okay, so let's try running this now, see where it is hosted. If we look at the client's directory here, I bet there's something good we can run here, like this thing here. What if we just fire this up directly and say, open this in Firefox. And here we go, domino stuff. Now the real tricky bit is the body tag itself needs to be transparent. So let's make sure we can see through the body tag. Nothing is going to hide that from us. That is just completely unusable, isn't it? Let's try that again. So it looks like something else is giving us this gray background. This, well, it's not that panel. This div here is giving us a background. No, it just has black text. Does the body have the background? Because we can override that easily. Hey, check this out. It's right there. Awesome. Okay, so we are going to grab this URL, and I'm going to pop it directly into OBS. Let's put OBS back up on the screen. And say we go over here. Let's modify our browser. Change the URL to this. Oh, it needs a different URL because IntelliJ is doing something fancy. Check that out. All right, so this will look like boiled crap with the domino screen there. Oh, that is fantastic. Okay, this is gonna be kind of fun. I can't actually click on any of these things, right? Because this isn't actually part of my screen. It looks like it's in front of my screen, but what I really see is just this bit over here. This is just an overlay that appears on top of my screen. So I can't even click on this little add task button. I can move my mouse near it, but let's see. What does it do when I put my mouse near it? I don't even see my mouse here. There we go. It goes under it, right? Because it's not part of my screen. It's an overlay. I can't put it underneath this screen here, and I can't put my mouse over it. So it's just going to be something that's going to hide other elements. I could also move my face on top. I think I'm okay with notifications covering my face, because really I'm just here for the, sort of pseudo-interactive, I am in the same room as you, environmental feel. That's all the face is here for. The notifications are probably about as important as the code. My real question is, how terrible is the text size? And it looks to me as though it's pretty nearly the same as what we've got in IntelliJ, so I think that's pretty tolerable. Yeah, okay, so we're going to need a couple of tools, like how do you refresh this on demand? And once we've got it refreshed to say, hey, there's something useful here. So let's go and switch back over to OBS and just poke around at what options we've... Oh, there's a refresh button right there. I kind of want to hook that into like a WebSocket and just say whenever I push a button in the computer itself, I can get it to refresh. Or do a yeah, the WebSocket would be great if I could have another panel that actually reflects what is rendered there. Because imagine, if you will, that let's hide this for a minute. This is getting a little crazy. And let's switch over here. Imagine, if you will, that I've got that overlay that's visible, and then I've also got this browser window off to the side. And I can see the same chats popping up there, and any other notifications we decide to wire up. Pull requests get open, issue to get open, that way we can get distracted and go play with something else, because, completing projects is for people who've got free time. And then we can get distracted, we can go look at that, but as long as I can see it somewhere on my screen, because I can't see the overlay. None of this overlay stuff is actually visible to me. So that could make sense. And then we could coordinate the two of them, have them both listed on a WebSocket to the same server, and the server just pumps events out, and leave the server running even as we tweak the client and rewrite the client, and then just have a refresh button. So when you push this refresh button, it pumps the event back to the overlay, and the overlay says, oh, it's time for me to refresh. It's time for something else to be drawn, and it'll flicker for a moment from your perspective, and then poof, everything will be back again. So let's turn it on. Let's see what the refresh thing does. If I have this running here and click refresh, okay, it animates back in again. That's kind of cool. Because I imagine that's what happens here when this comes online. It just replays, yeah, and it gets that animation. Okay. So we can get things like timers. I could have a little timer dialog over here to say, hey, I want a timer for this. Sounds like it's basically two apps, though. We've got one app for the control system, which will display the UI and give me buttons and options over here, and then a second app for what's actually running on the screen. All right, what about debugging? What about if I need to know why something is behaving funny over there? Can we get a console or an inspector? Let me mess around here a little bit and see if I can get a debugger. I am going to break the captions momentarily. Please bear with me. Okay, that's that. Captions are back. And then we want to do this Chrome debugger. So there's a thing in the debugger. We're going to use Chrome for this, unfortunately, instead of Firefox. Yeah, that's broadly what I want. Debug Android devices, not really, but it's close. Okay, we want to go to Chrome Inspect Devices. And what I want to see is if this shows the OBS window It doesn't seem to. These are the ones I've got open right now. Other. That's irritating. I was hoping that it would behave like a regular Chrome instance, and so I could just say, go poke that over there. So let's look real quick. How is this wired up? It's called, well, give me a minute. I'll link here what I've used to build this. It's a custom build of OBS for Linux because Linux is kind of a pain with getting this to work. Okay, so it's CEF, which is Chrome something framework, Chrome embedded framework. And what we really want is Chrome embedded framework, okay, from OBS to support debugging and remote debugging. Symbol files for debugging. Yeah, I don't actually want to debug the C++. I want the browser debugging. I want to attach DevTools. Yeah, I don't see anything about this. DEF, let's try CEF. DevTools. Debugging JavaScript in, yeah, all right, that's pretty close. CEF browser, get host, show DevTools. See, I don't want to show the DevTools because then I can't interact with them. I want to remote debug them. And this looks like C#. So there might be a way to get this, but I don't even know how to get the debugger going enough to do that. Let's see. I want the build in OBS using scripts from browser doc as opposed to browser source. All right, so this is getting a... Oh, hey, I've still got the overlay on. That's really irritating, isn't it? What if we just make it, like, transparent? Just give it a little bit of a filter. That would be an audio filter. That won't do a darn thing. I don't see any kind of make me transparent. Is it a transform? No, that'll just move it around the screen. Oh, there's an interact button. Oh, check that out. Okay, so now I can click on things. Yeah, okay, so this is pretty nearly what I was kind of hoping for by having it be interactive from another window. It'd be a little silly to poke it like this, but if we can get the DevTools up, then we're golden. That's pretty much all I was after there. So if the DevTools could show up in this window, and just so you know, I've got an actual window for this as opposed to the pop-up. Let's go ahead and, I'm sorry, as opposed to the overlay. If we hide the overlay, oh, then the regular one goes away too. Silly. All right. Okay, what if we hide in, no, I don't hide in Mixer. I can make it really tiny. That would be also silly. There's got to be a filter for this. Okay, it's not going to show up over there. Oh, I just lost a window here. There should be a window visible somewhere that says, hey, here's where you rename that thing. There we go. So if we do this, can I change the opacity down like, yeah. Okay, so now you can just kind of see through it. That'll make it easier to work with. And unfortunately, it's also affecting my interactive version, which is small, by the way. Let's make it smaller. So I've got this little tiny version, and I can click on it, and I can get, you know, this pop up here. And it appears instantly in the live version 2 in my overlay. So that's silly. The gray background here is because that's how it denotes transparent. Still don't have a debugger. There's also a clean cache button. That could come in handy in the future. Okay, let's just hide this for the moment and go and look at some more docs for this thing. Let's see, where did we put that browser window to say where some actual docs are? Oh, I see. Okay, that's fine. That's just fine. We've hidden that. Okay, let's Yep, I have no idea what that means. We'll look at that later. We're looking for that hint about how to get the CEF thing to get DevTools to show up. Browser source DevTools crashes OBS. Okay, we don't want to crash OBS because the whole stream goes away then. Somebody fixed it though, and it seems as though there's a good way to do this. Right-clicking the DevTools preview should be sent and handled by the browser gracefully. Set OBS launch option. Oh, check that out. There we go. So I'm going to have to quit OBS to do this. That's a little bit lame. And then we can open that in a window. Okay, so I got a bad idea. What if we start another OBS instance? Let's remote debugging port. Oh, you have to run CEF client that way, not OBS that way. Select OBS launch option. Oh, okay, so it might be an. Do you add this to OBS or do you add this to the browser window? It's not clear to me where you would do it here. It's in properties. We've already got the filter there to make it a little transparent for later on. We're going to do this off screen just because I don't even know what's in my settings. If there's a option for this. Oops. Okay, it's not really clear to me. Let's just try it though. Let me grab the terminal back again, and just do something silly like. I do that. What are you gonna do? Is it gonna complain that OBS is already running? OBS is already running. If you do meant to do this, you did. All right, we should kill it then. We should start a fresh one. So, I'm gonna stop the stream momentarily. We're gonna let's see if we got any hints in here about remote debugging. It doesn't look like there's any actual remote debugging port option in here, which means there must be some other flag I'm supposed to be using. Select OBS launch option, remote debugging port. See, that's how it actually launches the CEF client, and that's where we put the argument. I'm mostly just scanning this to look for hints about how this got started to begin with, because I don't really know what I'm doing. How do we just turn the thing on? And that looks vaguely in the right direction. There might be other hints about this in the issue tracker. Like, how do you start OBS to get this to happen? Okay, let's look in the issue tracker here. Let's look for dev tools. There's a bunch of closed ones. I want to compile it. Iframes are not visible. That could eventually be a problem. That's the crash we saw already. Let's look at this, remote debugging port. No option to set CEF startup parameters. Okay, so the fact that's been closed suggests that there now is an option to set that. We pass any command line parameters that OBS doesn't recognize directly to CEF. Cool. Okay, so that's all we need. Which means I need to leave briefly and then come back again. We're going to get the command ready to go, and then we'll know 922. So very briefly, I'm going to run away, and I'm going to try and restart the stream, and hopefully we'll be able to splice these streams together and continue on from there and get a debugger running. So, be right back.